So for our team, Group 3, in Week 2 on the first team discussion, if you really, didn't read into the book and try and understand on a more complex level how the Australian Navy was structured, you would think that it was like any other military, where at the top you have the Minister of Defense, next you have the Chief of Defense, and then the Chief of Navy, and then you kind of have the warrant officer, who in a company would be like the HR manager, and then you break down into three other officers, and then it breaks down even further to the seven main groups of the Navy. But the Australian Navy really isn't like that. Our group kind of thought of it more like a football team, where you have the Minister of Defense as the head coach, you have the Chief of Defense and the Chief of Navy as like the offensive coordinator and the defensive coordinator. And then as you break down, you have like offensive line coach, you have linebacker coach, you have wide receiver coaches, you have defensive back coaches, and then you have the players. But also in the players, you have like team captains and group leads, where the plays get sent to and they're told what to do, and that kind of tells you who the current leaders are and also who the future leaders are going to be. The armed forces works, like I said, like a football team, and in that team, in their branches, they're all working together for the better good of the Navy. And this team believes that by training up your new recruits or your drafted players, that there's going to be a higher morale, that they're going to be happier, and if you give them a performance, bonus based on how they're doing, or give them raises based on their performance, then you're going to see people actually care about their job and they're going to want to do better because they're going to be rewarded. Um, if you don't understand football, you have the team and then you have their civilians, because without the fans, you wouldn't have a team because no one would come to the games. And the Australian government understands this, and they really view, their civilians as equals to officers. And I really like that because it's not just, one sector. They're taking everyone's opinion and they're molding it together to become the armed force that they are. We also thought of it not only as a football team, but like a puzzle. If one piece of the puzzle is missing, then it's not complete. So everyone has to work together for the success of the Navy, or it just isn't going to happen. So that was Group 3 on Week 2 on the Australian Navy, on who the current leaders are and who the future leaders are going to be.